All right, good to see you guys. After the game, I'd sent a group text to the defense. It was only 7 words, but it was really all I needed to say. I said to them, that was a warrior effort and one that was called from the heart. And I thought that was just a really cool example of that, of people battling through injury and illness. And you guys saw just different combinations of people there late in the second half. And so that shows a true warrior. You know, you get back up, and no coincidence, it started with Mike early in the week, so he had to fight back, and everybody else did as well. So I just thought the whole group was tough as hell. And when those moments come, I specifically have very high appreciation for that, and saw it firsthand. So all that said, let's get the whole thing rocking.
Hey, David Moore, Dallas Morning News. You've had a lot of good team defensive efforts this year, but given the time of year and the opponent, was this as good as any you've had this year?
I think it would be because they're tough as hell too. And the one thing we've really been digging in on, and we weren't able to get any takeaways in our first game there. You know, we had 2 that was on the ground, and we thought we'd had a chance at them. And so we really thought for us to play at our best, we'd have to knock a few out and see if we could recover some. So to get 3 in that game, I thought that was the name of the game. And so to get three takeaways in that game, that was big.
And just Hankins, just what your understanding of where he is, how he's played this year, and what your options are if he's
Sure.
unable to be out for.
Yep, we'll start from the top. So I don't know a lot yet. I've not visited with him or the medical guys yet. But if he is, then the options would come, obviously from within the team. So, for people like Carl and Will who are, would be activated. But I think it's for us probably too early to know where that sits at, for this weekend's game anyway. But yeah, he's a really important factor for us inside. He's square, he's strong, he's got tons of experience to do it. So we'll just have to see where it goes. But we're equipped if we have to, and hopefully it doesn't get to that.
Clarence Hill, 4-Star Telegram. When did you know Michael was sick, and how much you think you could play him with flu-like symptoms?
Sunday. And so there was a couple guys that really had to battle through it. He was one, Donovan, some coaches as well. So this is one of those times where it just kind of goes around fast. But Sunday morning was the first that I knew, because he really was feeling sick on Saturday night. So Sunday morning when we all came in here.
Did it affect your game plan? He said he didn't play as many snaps, but did it affect what you could
No,
do?
we just basically told him and any other guys, hey, if you got to, come out, we'll get you back in, and we just roll from there. We got a big, deep crew that's ready to do that. So I didn't go in changing the game plan, but I knew when he wasn't in or when he was, there'd be some calls that would be specifically featured when he's in. So when he wasn't, then, okay, it kind of goes to, a different call or two that I wouldn't maybe have called.
Talk to the officials about the holds against him that are not called. Even on the sack he had, he was being held the whole time, and he got the sack, but they didn't call the holding. I don't know if it just seemed like it was obvious right in front of him.
Yeah, I think it's tricky on that, isn't it? Like, sometimes there's you guys are all aware there's 90-minute meetings beforehand. You want to talk about this or something else, and in my past, it's been the more you talk about it early, then it doesn't usually happen. So it's kind of like Fight Club, don't talk about it. But at the end, I think you want to always just see it called one way, and so if you know what the rules of engagement are, whether it's, holding from an offensive line or, guys battling down the field, those are the type of things that you'd want to know. But it's good to be in the press box on those moments, because then, guys are pulling, hey, they're holding, I know. So for me, being up and removed from that is good. So, but no, that's all Mike to, contact the referees. And obviously they look at it and we send plays in and they send some back. But I haven't had any information regarding the ones from yesterday.
Dan Archer with ESPN, the forced fumbles. Mike was saying that was really a self-scout point of emphasis after that second trimester. What goes into that? Are you putting up signs on the wall, just reinforce? I'm sure it's something we talk about every day, but.
Yeah, I think, well, how important the ball is to us, and you've heard me and others talk about it. So for us to go through 6 games and only have 1 fumble recovery, I said, we can change the math on this. And sometimes you just added emphasis to something. You can do that. Probably for a few blocks there in practice, we weren't able to do it. We always get together and talk about it and who's vulnerable, where to go. But we really wanted to make sure that we committed to that focus. And I thought one of the very best ones might have been the Charger game, maybe 7 or 8 weeks ago. We didn't necessarily get a lot of takes, but we were digging them. You were going, and I saw that same type of effort yesterday, because nothing would take the place of first tackling. Like, we're not going to go in and take shots where we're irresponsible in terms of owning our leverage and playing. But the second, the third, the fourth guy in, we could be more mindful of that. And we just drilled it and made sure we get it. And it's funny how that works sometimes. You get what you emphasize. But for us in that instance, I think it was more really recapturing that mindset.
And then Josh Allen this week, you faced a quarterback who would run maybe not as much as you had. Does that help in a carryover? And with him, that whole 2.3 that Mike talks to us about the offense, is that even more in play this week?
Yeah, as I'm just getting into it, I would say there is, similar styles to these guys who are really tough, strong runners, and I would count Allen and Hurts, near the top of that list, where not only can they make you miss, but they can also try to run you over like a running back. And so for guys like that, there's quarterback draws and escaping out of the pocket and designed quarterback runs. And so those are the things as we go through the week that we'll get more prepared with. But, yeah, he's certainly, so far what I've seen, some exceptional plays by him on tape, much like Hurts has.
Safeties, The Athletic. Dan, as someone who's been a head coach in this league, you've gone to the Super Bowl, all that stuff, how much of an appreciation do you have for what Mike has been able to do in his time here, coming here and in the 4 years kind of building the program?
Yeah, I think when you look at the whole challenge of what that looks like and how do you do it when you come into a new place, and knowing that not every situation is the same, and so getting a real understanding of the landscape and what you need to do and where you need to put your attention, and he's done a fantastic job of that. To make sure how we play, the style that we play, the attitude that we play with is always really consistent. And you can look across all the players and all the coaches, and all of them really have a very clear understanding of how we want to get it on, and that comes right from Mike.
As a defensive coach, what's it like to work for him? Does he kind of let you do your own thing and hands off? Like, how is he to work with for you?
He's awesome. Yeah, I'll say we talk a lot, every day about, different, scenarios that come up, and I've grown, from my, 3 years here with him. So those are good experience you have, and so it's been especially fun this year, with the changing of his role where, last year, might have not been in the same space, or the last 2 years. So the training camps and the practices and things we get to go against one another. We were in fact just talking about, a concept that a team had that we were sharing ideas back and forth on. Will you make me a cut up on it? So there's a lot of that goes on during the week, and I know I certainly appreciate that.
And then just Gilmore yesterday, he said A.J. Brown called him hold on the first drive, and it kind of lit a fire up under him. And is that as feisty as you've seen Gilmore in a game?
Like I said, I'm sometimes removed from it, but I would say there's something very cool about a player that's been on the top, much like him, who's been told by others that their shelf life has expired. And my experience on some of those instances has been they got a lot to prove and a lot to share. And so in my experience, there's been, going all the way back to Seattle, Lawyer Malloy or Dwight Freeney in Atlanta, or a guy like Steph here. So much of what they give isn't just to their own individual performance. It's to others that go around them, and they're all unique, and Steph is that way too. So I think he was really, I was really proud of his effort, his performance, and some really cool, third and fourth down stops. And he's made our entire group better by his ability to share and to serve some of the other guys. And so when I think of names like him, or like I said, Dwight or Lawyer, all of them had some unique thing that they were able to impart to Cam Chancellor, or they were able to impart to the next player, to Grady Jarrett. And so when I see that, and I see that wisdom getting shared to Trayvon and guys like Duran, I think that's one of the really cool things in our league. So I can't, comment on their conversations. I'm sure it was much different. But for me, I have a real appreciation for him and what he brings to our defense.
Cowboy Watkins, Dallas Morning News. Along those lines, your reaction on the fourth down tackle, is that you like, oh, the old man made a play for us? Because that's what he did.
I don't know. I guess I just get excited. I wish the camera wasn't up there. Can we do something about that, Tad? And but I think I like going all week with the guys and all the planning and all the stuff that goes into them. And I do probably 2 meetings a week just by myself with them. We talk about tackling and takeaways. And so when I see those moments happen, I'm so happy for that person, because I know behind the scenes the amount of work that they put into it. And so usually that's where my joy is coming from, because I know what they put in to put themselves into that spot. And so I'd much rather be, more pumped up about them, and knowing that there's more plays to make. So hopefully we get to do that for a long time.
You talk to your root that this is December football, now it's our time to make a stand, make statements, prove that we are one of the best defenses in the league?
I think we broke it up into, the early games, and then as you're getting now into here, like, after Thanksgiving, there's definitely still things to work on. And really that's the focus here. We have this 5-game block to say, we just did it last Monday, in fact, to say over this month, what's the one thing that you want to get better at? And if each of us, do that collectively, we will get better. And some of it's on the field, some of it's off the field. And whatever that work on is, that's our focus for that each individual person. That's us as coaches to make sure we can help them achieve that. But I think we want to keep pushing the standard. And the best teams that I've been on got better during this time of year. And I didn't think if you're going to do that, you better put the work in, because you want to be hitting your strides and hitting your moments here in these weeks and months ahead. And the only way I think that you can do that is finding those little things in your game to work on. And that's kind of the fun part of it, because not everybody has the same exact thing to work on. I might have brought, hey, I really want to work, our force and fumbles, but each of those guys individually, they all have something. And I brought some that was mine that I wanted to hit on. And so each of them have their own thing, and I think that's kind of a cool thing.
Joe Trahan, WFA TV. Dan, you had one sack last night, but a bunch of pressure on Jalen. Same sort of thing could happen against a mobile guy like Josh Allen. What do you tell your guys about not worrying about the sack totals and how important that pressure can be in changing the outcome of games?
Yeah, that's absolutely the fact. And we know we have to affect the quarterback, and that has to go down. And so for, quarterbacks that can get outside the pocket and create on the move, that's a really big deal. So we don't allow that to happen. So sometimes you may have to try to cage somebody in, even though you may not have the best rush move in mind. So that's kind of the balance of it all, of working together. And this quarterback will push us to the limits this week as well.
Are there plays where you say, all right, you can just let loose and go?
Yes.
Or is it, listen, we're facing Jalen Hurts or Josh Allen?
Yes. Both. And so there's some that you may have, 4 or 5 rushing and someone else on the QB to say, this person is capable, if he does get outside, of going to get him. And then there's other times where some of that coverage needs to go to another receiver or to someone else, and then you have to cage him in. So it's a little bit of a, gamesmanship of back and forth. It's basically, when do you have to guard somebody else extra, or when do you want to guard the quarterback?
Nick Harris, DallasCowboys.com. A couple of them for you. First, how important is Al Harris to this defensive unit, and how important has he been to the secondary success this year?
Well, I think it's huge because he's got such a huge experience at that position. I think I may have even touched on it a little bit last week. If I was a corner, he'd be somebody I'd want to train me, because he can see it from the view of the helmet, of being outside and knowing the different techniques to go to that. And so the scheme part of it outside maybe isn't as complex as it is at other positions. But the technical part of that, man, you'd better be on it, or you can get exposed in a hurry. Like the two positions that everybody can see how the game went, it's quarterback and cornerback. And so anybody who watch a game would know those two positions can show up. They have to be tough. They got to be resilient. There's going to be plays made both ways. But he's remarkable in his teaching. He's able to express it in a way to these guys that they can clearly grasp it and pick it up. And the best of the best coaches can do it out on the field and then use those eyes. This is what I saw in game. This is what the route was. This is what had happened. And he's exceptional at that. Yeah, we're very fortunate that he's working with that group. And I think the proof is in their performance.
And then the safeties, they had a really good game last night, keeping everything underneath in the pass game, filling running lanes.
Yeah,
How
I was
important
really
is it?
proud. I said if there was a group that stood out to me above all, it was the safeties. And, I can think of an early play, on like a 7 route where Hooker broke up a play on Devontae. I can think of another one down the other end on a 3rd down that Curse made, a forced fumble and fumble recovery by Donovan. So, like, all of them had their own individual mark on the game, and but that's the position that stood out to me the most. If there was, you cut a game ball up into 3 spaces, they would certainly be a part of that.
Michael Galkin, Dallas Morning News. This stretch that you're now entering as a team, 3-4 on the road, close out the regular season. How do you frame or stress or emphasize just road football? What comes with that? What are you looking for, and what has to shift?
I really don't try to look much past the game that we're in. And I just think it doesn't do us a whole hell of a lot to go too far down the road with all the emphasis that has to go into just this moment and just this game. So I'll let Mike and the others take care of the big picture stuff. But for us, it is all about just this game and how we go get it on. And so they'll provide all the challenge we need. We don't need to look anywhere past that. But this week, another road game, tough environment, excellent opponent. So it'll be fun as hell because of, the more the longer you play and the more you do, the bigger they become. And I think that's a lot of fun. But past this game, it's kind of like I just see it at the end of Sunday, and then a whole new world begins the following week. So, and it's more fun to live that way, kind of. So you just stay in the week and kick some ass, and then turn the page.
Scott?
Skyler Dixon with the AP. Mike likes to talk about if he were game planning against your defense, it would be attack the run first. How do you feel like the run defense has gotten better? It does seem like it's gotten more stout through your time here. And what's the challenge without Hankins to try to keep that rolling?
Yeah, that's a good one, isn't it? With Hank, because he is such square and strong inside. So if he isn't able to go, then we'd lean on some of the others with, potential of adding somebody to the group like a Carl. But really at the end of it, man, it's just really playing square and strong and being strong inside. And it's not a magical, solution that we have for it. It's just being more sound in how we're doing it. So we've improved in that area for sure. But if teams want to get it on in that way, we must be able to play that style too.
Go to Joe and then finish with Clarence.
Joe Hoyt, Lone Star Live. 2 quick questions. It felt like before the Seattle game, you guys weren't traveling much with corners. Obviously, second half, Gilmore did, and this game against AJ. I guess how much did that second half against Seattle unlock the ability to do that this past week?
Well, we've been practicing some, and so oftentimes in practice we may do that because you never know when that moment comes and you want to be able to shift and move it around. So it's kind of on a weekly basis, and the one for Seattle was an in-game adjustment that we made, and we added to it a little bit last week. But as we get into the game plan for this week, we'll determine if that's something that we want to do or not. There's kind of all sorts of factors that come in, how much motion, how much shifting that can go on, because if they're doing too much, you can almost get yourself out of your own game. So it a little bit depends on the opponent as well.
And then on the 4th down with Gilmore, that he kind of undercut that man beater with the crosser. I guess how much of a risk reward play is that? And I guess how impressive was it that he undercut it and was still able to make that tackle?
Yeah, when depending on the distance, right? In terms of how far can I be off, knowing that we still have to make this stop. So that's part of his unique special sauce of knowing how far can I be off. He has just very good awareness of routes and understanding. So those are the things that's hard to coach because he has a unique aspect of this route could come up in this moment, and those are the things that's hard to train somebody on, and he has it in full effect.
Teams go to a great length to get inside information. Do you talk to Trevor about his brother this week?
Boy, that's a good question. I would not do that.
You would not?
I would not.
Why?
Because I wouldn't put him in that spot.
Okay.
And I just, that's his brother, So, like, if we were playing against him, if they were, it would be. I was very much looking forward to this contest, months ago, because I am quite certain he would be wanting to travel in this game, and no matter what, I don't care if he's motioning, but no, I certainly wouldn't. And quite honestly, there is that part that goes on, but sometimes it's a little blown out of proportion too, because you got to go play and you got to go do your thing. So I've been one over the years that when you had too much information, sometimes I think it can slow somebody down. You got to trust your training and go after it. But no, that wouldn't be something I'd want to dig into this week, and I hope they feel the same way on their side.
All right.
All right, you guys have a good one.